There is a line that runs through Yogyakarta. It is exactly 40 kilometers long. It passes through a volcano, a palace, and ends at the ocean. It was drawn deliberately 300 years ago, and the entire city was built around it. That line is the genome of Yogyakarta, and today we are going to read it. Yogyakarta is different. Yogyakarta was composed not by an urban planner, not by a colonial engineer, by Sultan Hamengku Buwono I in 1755, using a design system that was simultaneously a map of the cosmos, a map of the human body, and a political statement about power. This is what genomic architecture looks like when it is done on purpose. In Javanese cosmology, the world is held in tension between two forces. To the north, Mount Merapi, a volcano, active, masculine. The realm of Ratu Kidul, the spirit queen of the north, lord of creation and destruction. To the south, the Indian Ocean, the sea, feminine, mysterious. Also the realm of a spirit, Nyiroro Kidul, the queen of the southern sea. The Sultan placed his palace exactly between them. The Keraton's north gate, the palace throne room, and the south gate of the inner compound sit on a single surveyed line aligned with the Merapi crater. The Sultan employed Javanese cosmographers. The palace is not the seat of government. It is the hinge of the universe. And every street, every square, every kampung in the city radiates from that hinge. Malioboro Street, every tourist walks it. Very few people understand what they are walking on. Malioboro is not a shopping street that happens to run past the palace. Malioboro is the axis. It is the physical expression of the cosmic line, brought down to the scale of the human body. When you walk north on Malioboro, you walk toward the volcano, toward power, toward the wild forces of creation. When the Sultan's procession walks south, it moves toward the sea, toward the spirit world, toward the feminine. Every procession, every day of ordinary life on that street was knowingly or not a ritual enactment of the cosmic order. This is what a city genome looks like when it is operating correctly. The meaning is in the infrastructure. You don't need to understand it consciously. Your body moves through it and feels it anyway. Directly north of the palace, the alun-alun utara, an open grass square, two enormous banyan trees at its center, perfectly symmetrical. Directly south, the alun-alun selatan, identical in form. A palace flanked by two public squares, one on each side, both center on the same axis. This is not aesthetics. This is political architecture. The North Square was the space of the state, royal proclamations, military parades, the Sultan's formal relationship with the people, and with the Dutch colonial government. The South Square was the space of the sacred, ceremonies for the Spirit Queen, rituals at night, the city's conversation with the world beyond the visible. The palace sits between them. The Sultan mediates between the political world to the north and the spirit world to the south. His body, literally his physical body, is the hinge point of the cosmos. That's what those two squares mean. You just have to know how to read it. Here is something strange. Every night in alun-alun selatan, people attempt something called the masangin, the blindfolded walk between the two central banyan trees. The trees are 60 meters apart. The path between them is completely clear. There are no obstacles. Almost no one walks a straight line. Local belief holds that only the pure of heart can walk the path. What I notice is this: a public space, 300 years old, still pulls thousands of people to test their relationship with an invisible force and still succeeds. There is a city genome operating correctly. The space generates its own ritual. The ritual generates community. The community generates meaning. No urban planner designed the blindfolded walk. The space designed it. Look at the space between the streets, between Malioboro and the river, between the ceremonial gates and the outer wall. In every gap between the formal geometry of the Sultan's design and kampung. Dense, organic, alive. Goat paths that become walking paths, that become alleys, that become a neighborhood that has been inhabited continuously for 3 centuries. This is the second genome layer of Yogyakarta, and it is as intelligent as the first. The Sultan designed the macro structure, the cosmic axis, the squares, the gates. He could not design, and never attempted to design, how people would actually live within it. That was left to the kampung. The kampung figured it out. The warung cluster near the palace walls, because the palace generates foot traffic. The batik workshops cluster near water, because the dyeing process needs it. The alleyways narrow exactly to the width of 2 people passing with a basket, not because anyone measured this, but because that measurement emerged through use over generations, and the parts that were too narrow died, and the parts that were wide enough survived. This is evolutionary urbanism. The kampung is the city's adaptive layer. What Yogyakarta has is 3 simultaneous scales of urban structure operating in harmony. The sacred scale, the 40-kilometer cosmic axis. This gives the city its identity and its meaning. It answers the question, what is this city for? The civic scale, the street grid radiating from the palace. This gives the city its legibility. It answers the question, how do I navigate this city? The intimate scale, the kampung. This gives the city its livability. It answers the question, how do I live in this city? Remove any one of these 3, and the city becomes a worse place to be human. That is what modern urban planning consistently fails to understand. You cannot design all 3 at once. The sacred and civic can be designed. The intimate must be grown. Every city that has tried to plan its kampung has produced a housing block. Every housing block is less livable than the kampung it replaced. This is not a coincidence. This is a design principle.